Oh, I see it now. Okay.
So we are live now.
Yay! Yay, Rachel did it.
Oh my goodness me. So, so welcome to anybody who is watching. Yes, so if you've just seen Pat and I going, are we live? Are we live?
Right.
That's because this is the first time that we have done it here at Crafty Monkeys. So Pat Sloan is in the house. So nice to meet you. You're looking resplendent in your orange, I have to say as well.
Oh, thank you.
I expect you to be colourful, Pat. You look lovely. So listen, Pat, I was researching you.
Oh no.
I know everything about you. I know your favorite color is yellow.
Yeah. And red.
Look, I wanted a little bit of yellow for you.
Yeah.
It was especially for you, Pat. But no, seriously, I've been looking at you, and I have to say, you are absolutely incredible in terms of, I mean, so many things that you do, because you are a designer, you design quilts, you design patterns, you make quilts, you write, you blog, you interview. I mean, this must be quite strange for you, I would think, being on the other side.
Right. It's fun to be on the other side sometimes.
Yeah, but usually you're doing the interviewing. You have been doing this for so many years. You are so prolific in so many different areas. My question to you, Pat, was, did you have a plan in the beginning? Because I mean, I know that I read you started out by making little dolls' clothes, like so many sewists.
Oh yes, as a little girl, yes.
As a little girl.
Yeah.
So when did it kind of hit you that you could perhaps do this professionally and to make a living and a full-time occupation out of it? And did you have a goal in mind? Did you have a goal to become Pat Sloan, who just does everything?
Rachel, you're so funny. Thank you for having me here. Well, I'm one of those people that always wanted to work for myself. Even as a little girl, I was taking those drawings and those clothing that I made as a little girl, and I need a business. You know, I'm just one of those odd people like that. So I always knew I would have a business. It just took a really long time, in my opinion. I had to go through one full career until I figured out what I could put my energy into. And then I'm not actually a massive planner that way. I just sort of jump in and things happen, and you got to make a living once you do that, once you quit your other job. So you just start doing all the things. And that's kind of, I like to do a lot of things at once. I'm not a single thread person. So that's just, I just started playing around, and the business just developed and luckily kept going.
Yeah, well, it's amazing, isn't it? I mean, how many years now?
I've been in this business 21 years full-time. And wow. I did it while I had a full-time job. My prior job for about 3 years, I was doing it as a part-time job. So.
And do you have a favorite part of your job and your business? Because as I say, you're so prolific, and you do so many different things. Is there a favorite thing that you sit down and you go, oh, this is my favorite bit of the job?
Yeah. Well, I think it's just my favorite part of quilting in general is fabric. So anytime I get to have new fabric and play with fabric, and I also love the interaction and community part of it. That is huge for me, to be able to talk to everybody else, like those of you watching, you know, I just like the community part. And so being able to plug that in and make it a really integral part has been fabulous.
Yeah, you see, and that's when we wanted to talk to you, Pat, and it was quite funny because Kerry, who is my social media lady, but also she's my right-hand man, really. She's amazing, and she knows everything there is to know about everybody. And she said, you know, it'd be amazing if we could talk to Pat Sloan. And we were like, okay, you know, but I wonder, you know, what the common ground is. And it was so funny because she said, well, you know, she's really into kind of building a community and working with people. And I went, like we are, Kerry. And she went, oh yeah, I forgot. So I do understand, because I think there are so many businesses that you know, their aim is to, and this is not a wrong reflection because everybody is different in business, but there are businesses where they have to buy and sell fabric. There are businesses that have to, you know, just they have a goal and that's what they do. But I really wanted with Crafty Monkeys for, I mean, obviously it's a business, we have to fill the places, you know, but I really wanted it to be a community thing. I wanted people to come together and to meet people. And I always say, Pat, that when I got my first American on board, it was just the first person from outside the UK. It happened to be an American. And I had all little squares with windows, and all the ladies are going, I'm in Scotland, I'm in Yorkshire. And then one lady went, hey, I'm in New York.
Yeah.
And I'm just going,
yes.
oh, how have we got to you? And of course, it was social media, but it was so wonderful. And one of the things that the ladies in my classes say is that they love hearing different voices, seeing different people, you know, hearing about their passions, seeing where they live. Sometimes we get tours of people's apartments or views. Yeah. And it's lovely, isn't it, to bring the community together. How do you bring your community together?
I started building internet communities probably in about 1999. So I found Delphi boards and some other kind of boards that were out there. And I just was online. My guild, my local guild had a little chat room. So even though we met in person, it started for me really with learning how quilters communicate together via my guild. And then as I went along, I basically always had a community right from the start of my business. So I just would move the platform, you know, the place where we would talk would have to move because people change. Like Yahoo groups were really big and then they weren't. So, and I ran my own forum, and then Facebook got huge. And then I eventually brought my community over to Facebook, which is where mostly it is now. If you're not on Facebook though, we have a great community on YouTube by chatting in the premiere area or the chat area or the comments. And then I'm on Instagram as well. So if that's what you meant, if you meant something else, tell me. But you know, location wise, that's where it was.
Yeah, no, that's good to know, because I mean, you know, I think when you are building a community, I do think what's lovely about the sewing industry is that there is a real sharing aspect. So for example, I mean, my YouTube channel now is compared to where you are, but it's a start, and it's amazing that someone like you, Pat, has said, I'll come along. I'll come along. And that's what's so lovely, is that in the sewing community, people really want to help. It's like Jenny from Clover and Violet just talked with us, and she's been amazing in wanting to get the word out there. A lot of our tutors here in the UK, the same. We all just have to share, because as well, we all then get different experiences. So let's talk about where people can find you, Pat, because obviously our Crafty Monkeys audience, I'm sure that they do know who you are, but if there's someone who's going, who is this Pat Sloan lady?
Yeah, who is that? Yeah, not everybody knows me, believe me. They do not.
Where can they find you? I mean, I know where they can find you, because like everywhere.
My name, patsloan.com. If you just spell my name with no E on the end, it's SLOAN.
Which I was doing when I was trying to email you, never mind.
But if you just go to my main website, there's links to everything, because I have the Facebook community, which is Quilt Along with Pat Sloan. Everything sort of has my name attached to it. Quilter Pat is at Instagram. My blog is, you know, Pat Sloan. So you can, and my YouTube is Pat Sloan. You pretty much, if you put my name, but if you go to my main website, I've got the links to everything.
Yeah, and your website is fantastic, because I think it's a real treasure trove as well. And this is what's wonderful about you as well, Pat, is that you give away so much. You know, you are doing tutorials and tips and things. But the one thing that I think is your real big winner for me is your absolute authenticity. It's just you. So as you said, it's your name, it's Pat Sloan, it's you, it's Pat. And I was watching your video about your broken wrists. I'll do it a second. I mean, for a sewist to break their wrists, I mean, there are other things to break, but to break your wrist is the worst thing I can imagine. But I think what was lovely about that video was that you were offering advice for people who'd broken their wrists about how they could continue with their daily lives. And I just thought that was so nice that you just went on your channel. It was nothing to do with selling. It was nothing to do with, you know, the fabrics particularly. It was just about your community. And that was really nice.
Thank you. I wanted to do that because I looked at a lot of people's videos when I broke both my wrists. I mean, it was a hard thing to work through, and I needed information. And so I thought, well, if I can give my story and my information, it might help somebody. And it's the same thing with the quilting. giving my story, my way, what I do, what I found, and what I'm trying. It's not always just that I'm not an expert at everything, I can't be. So if I'm trying something new, then, I'll share that. And just if it didn't work for me, I'll share that. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
doesn't
No,
always work.
but that's really good. That's why people, that's why people tune in. They want to know that, that's what happens when we do our classes. Some people have absolute nightmares in the class in terms of machines break, and someone else will go, oh, hang on, have you tried that? And oh, I
Right.
didn't, oh no. And then when we talk about products, a teacher will be using something and somebody will go, well, I actually got the American version of that. Oh, well, I didn't think that worked for this. Oh, but I thought it worked for that. And it's that sharing of information, which is really good.
Yeah, we do that a lot in my Facebook community. So the Facebook community is really heavy on that. If people have questions, you can get answers, worldwide.
Well, talking about worldwide, we should say how many people are in your Facebook group, because you've got a few.
A few. I think there's 197,000 and
I can only dream of having that many people in a Crafty Monkey Facebook group.
Yeah, it's it takes a while to build.
Yeah,
but it's I do a lot of projects. I do a lot of sew-alongs basically, and so people like that, and they share it with friends. And like one time I had a whole group. I did one that was on camping. That was the theme, and so all of a sudden somebody shared it into their RVs are like your caravans. So they shared it into their group about that, and then all of these quilters came, and who had never heard of me, a lot of them, but because somebody enjoyed the project and shared it, it lets you get your friends involved with what you like and what you have fun with. So like here, if you have fun with Crafty Monkey and you like their classes, share so that more people can have it.
Exactly. Yeah. That just reminds me of the film, Field of Dreams, when at the end they say, if you build it, I think it's actually been misquoted, that film, because I think it's, if you build it, he will come. But they always say, if you build it, they will come. And you see all those trailers coming down the road. That's like you. Everybody's just coming to your Facebook group. Everybody's just driving along. We should talk about your sew along, actually, Pat, because you have got a sew along coming up, haven't you, over the summer period?
I do. I've been doing one on Wednesdays, a block every Wednesday, and there's always a theme. I've done this for a few years now on Wednesdays. It's a lot of fun. The blocks are super simple. They're all mostly patchwork, and the one coming up is Summer Soiree. So we, so every block, they're not pictorial blocks. They're just patchwork blocks, and I give them a fun name that will be like have to do with maybe what you would wear to a summer soiree, something like that.
Yeah. Okay. So how do people get involved with that sew along?
Yeah, so they just sign up for if you either watch my YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube, or you can sign up for the newsletter, or just come into the Facebook group. The pattern, the free pattern, is always on my website. It's not listed anywhere else. So eventually you have to come to my website to pick it up, but you can get a notice in several ways.
Well, I'm going to be really cheeky, Pat, and say that you should come and teach a class alongside a sew along, because Nicholas Ball did this. It was incredible, because he was doing a shoal sew along, and it was at the beginning of the year. So he did the same thing as you did, the sew along on social media. And then he said to me, do you think we could run a class alongside? So in the class, I could cover things that I hadn't. Yeah, let's do it. So we put one date up, and then we put 2 dates up, and then we did 3. And then he messaged me and said, I'm not sure I can do 4 in a row. And we did 4. And then we were even contemplating the 5th, and he said, I can't ever eat fish again in my life. But it was incredible. So that's something for later, because I know you do, obviously, this is what you do as well. You teach people, that's what you do. So what do you find enjoyable about when you're teaching people?
Yeah, I've taught quilt making for, when it was still a part-time thing for me. I started teaching beginners and locally. But for me, teaching is, I like to get out to people's communities, and I like to meet them in person. That's really the fun part. And seeing what people want to learn in a way, you know, like I teach very specific things and I'm not like a general teacher, you know, I have like these 3 things I teach, that's it. And, and so it was always fun to see how different groups of people interpreted. I did a lot of improvisational type things was always sort of part of the repertoire when I was doing that. So I really do like meeting the people.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it? And do you find it quite thrilling when people show you their work as well and show you what they've done, perhaps with your patterns and things like that?
Yeah, that's always thrilling to see it. And I always love it if they've made something a little bit unique to themselves, like you know, especially like I like applique. So people will switch out applique to make it a little bit more personal. Like maybe they're not really into butterflies because they love dragonflies. And so they'll switch that out. And I always love seeing that personalization, which is really so easy to do with applique.
Yeah, and you know, that's what our teachers really find interesting in our classes is that, like Nicholas, if someone is using, you know, patterned fabrics and perhaps he uses a lot of solids, he always finds it interesting when someone has come up with, you know, or colours that he wouldn't have chosen and thinks those colours really work together.
Yes,
so and it's always a joyful moment when people do hold up their work. For me, what's joyful is seeing the joy in them. You know, when they hold and they go, I made this. I can't believe that I've done this. You know, that's always a nice thing as well. It's a lovely industry to work in, isn't it? It's such a good feeling.
It is. It's a happy thing because people do this because it's their hobby. I mean, we all sew because it's our hobby. It isn't like a job, you know, for the people that we interact with. Everybody, it's being in the hobby industry I used to work in computers and, you know, building complicated stuff.
I wrote it down. You were a cheerleader as well. I mean, I was hoping you would bring some pom-poms for us today, Pat.
In high school. See, I have to use all those skills here, you know, it's
yes, you have a degree in computer science.
Yes.
Now, I always find it interesting. It's like Sarah Payne, one of our teachers. She also used to work in the kind of software arena.
Right.
And I always find it fascinating when creative people can also do, I mean, I can't, I'm rubbish at maths and sciences and things like that, rubbish. Although I did do computer studies when because I went to drama school, trained to be an actor, came out, and then I had to do the old temping thing. And then I was put on a course to learn about IT. And actually, the teacher wanted me to go further into the IT side. And he said, you have the capacity. You could work in IT. I didn't want to do that. But he did say that I could do that. And I do push myself to learn new things. But I'm not like that. I couldn't do a degree in computer science. So I find it fascinating when people like yourself who are really creative have that side as well.
Yeah, it's I wrote software for a long time and then did project management. That's why I like a lot of things going on at once. And so, you know, there are probably a lot more people than you realize that can do this. I mean, we had my team, I had a team of like 40 people at once, and there were musicians. Lots were musicians, which is a whole different kind of brain set. But there's logic and just how to get from A to B, which when you're doing sewing, that's what you got to know. You know, you got to follow the steps, and you know, it's really not. I don't find it that different, but I do have a very structured, very compartmentalized. There's the word. Couldn't get it out. You know, I do things very structured and like, okay, do this, do that, and that's from years of writing software too. You know.
Does that, I guess maybe that helps you though with, because obviously when you're writing for your magazines and books and things, I know you've got a book coming out, which we'll talk about in a second as well. But does that, do you think that helps you with deadlines and things, like kind of being able to compartmentalize?
Oh yeah, I worked to a deadline in the schedule for, you know, over 20 years. So that was my life, and not just my schedule, other people's schedules. So that is so ingrained. It's kind of nice sometimes to do something where I don't have a deadline. It's like,
yeah. Do you ever do anything where you don't have a deadline? Do you ever do anything? I mean, I did read actually about you.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, But you were talking about UFOs. You've got a great thing on your YouTube channel talking about UFOs and, you know,
Yeah.
all these
Right.
unfinished things. And
Mhm.
what did I wrote it down here about how many. Oh, I know that you said that you've made over 600 quilted projects, and I suspect there's probably even more now because that was probably written some time ago.
Yeah,
Do
yeah, I
you
have.
do you
And
what go on, sorry.
I was gonna say, the part of when I started my business for the most part is that there was really no internet yet. It
Yeah.
was so so tiny that I did the way you got your name out was to do lots of work for the magazines, and I did tons and tons and tons of small projects, medium projects. I did that for many years, and then all the books, and it's just, and I like to make things, so I just
Yeah,
keep making them.
just keep making.
Yeah.
What do you, by the way, we've got quite a few people watching, which is lovely, and I will read out any questions. If anybody's got any questions for Pat, please put them in the chat below, because I will have a look at those in a little bit. What do you like to do in your free time? Is it still quilting and sewing, or is it something totally different?
Well, if I go on a real vacation, that's what I'll tell you that part, because that's easier than free time, because I don't know what free time is. So a
I
real
know, I'm
a
with
real
you.
vacation where I leave the house, and I'm gone. I like to do something that is not sewing. I basically like to go relax. Like to go to a location and, walk around, have lunch, shop, just do things like sounds really normal and boring. But, I don't get to do that all the time, particularly when I was very heavily traveling on the road. I just didn't go do those things. So I also like to garden. In the pandemic, if I had not broken both my wrists during the pandemic, I would have done more gardening. That was the plan, because I was home, but but normally I don't. Now I'm doing more gardening, so I'm excited about that. I used to do a lot prior to this business, so
Yes, because I was reading that you really like flowers. You really like
yes,
flowers. But
yes, I love
I
flowers.
think a lot of quilters and sewers probably do, because I think that there's so much beauty in nature in terms of color. Mother Nature gets it just spot on how she puts colors together and shapes and things like that. So, and like you say, the dragonflies and the butterflies. If you're in a garden, you can't help but be inspired
Yeah.
by nature. Yeah. What do you just talking there, Pat, as well about the pandemic and well, just mentioning the pandemic there. How do you feel it affected you? I mean, for me, Crafty Monkeys was always going to be online, but I hadn't figured out how I was going to do it, because I was thinking of the kind of crafty channel type thing. And I thought, well, that's going to cost me hundreds of thousands of pounds. I don't have that money. So
Yeah.
I started with retreats. But within 6 months of the business opening, Corona hit, and that was the end. And so I had to come up with some kind of online offer. And what's happened is it's been incredible, and it's actually taken me in a direction which is just amazing. I'm so lucky. So it's a very good thing that's come out of the pandemic for me. How do you think it changed your business and your outlook?
The business didn't change a whole lot, because I was primarily online anyway. Yeah. So if you were already online, you just got more friends. That's
Yeah.
More friends, because more people were now home and would have time to explore the option of being online. And that was what was very exciting. You got a great benefit of that happening.
Yeah.
I also did. I think anybody who was already online and already had things going on, so people could be like, oh, I could check that out. That's already been going on, and join in. And so it's been really fun to do that. I started the YouTube channel filming every day in March of 2020, right at the beginning.
I ask you, Pat, how do you fit that in? Because I mean, I've just uploaded some free content today, and I'm like, oh, it's taken me hours. I've got so much to do. To actually make this content for every day, how do you fit that in?
Well, it's not very long, and it's not real edited. It's basically as if you popped over here to my house and we sat down for 15 minutes and I said, well, this is what I've been working on. I'm not doing tutorials. I'm not doing heavy duty stuff. I'm just sitting and chatting about quilting for 15 minutes. And I do a bit of editing, and some of them are more than that. But that's one of the big things that I changed when the pandemic happened, because when it happened, I knew I needed to be connected to people, and I wasn't sure where people were going to be. And I thought, well, this may be nuts. I now do it 6 days a week. So one day a week, I don't do a video. But it's been really wonderful to communicate that way. It's a kind of a different viewer group sometimes than the other places.
Yeah. Have you got into yet, just this is totally left field questioning, but just about in terms of, because you do everything. So have you got into doing reels yet, and the whole TikTok thing? Because I mean, there's always something new, isn't there? There's always like YouTube, right, Instagram, and I mean, I was watching Gary Vee the other day, and he was talking about some new, I don't know, some vocal platform. And I was like, oh, can we, I mean, how many things do we have to do? But are you doing reels and TikToks?
No.
That's not your thing.
No. And I don't have time, so I do. Yeah, I do. I'm only one person. And so I don't have a staff editing for me or anything. My husband does like the back office stuff for the business, which is accounting and things like that. So I don't have to do that. But the other stuff, I have to do all of it. And so I can't be everywhere. I have to pick the platforms, and, pick spots where you, the quilters, are. And so I'm already at 4. So that's good. That's my max.
Yeah. Let's talk about your book, because I mean, that's another let's talk about that now, because I'm intrigued. We did a chat with Sarah Payne last week, which was all about her book and how long the process was. It took her from having the initial meeting with the publisher to publishing, although there may have been delays because of the times you were living in, but it was 18 months. How long does it take you to get a book together, Pat?
This is my 38th book.
Oh, quite a few.
Yeah. So I have a whole, it's not that long. When your first book is always much, much longer.
Yeah.
So mine, I have in the past had a book published by a publisher in 6 months, or maybe it was like 5 months to normally it's a year.
Yeah,
it's a year. And a lot of that has to do with the editing time afterwards, from my start until the book is actually in the warehouse to be sent out is usually a year. Okay.
So this book is all about holidays celebrations.
Yeah. I have the one on the back here. This is Liberty Hill. Yeah. That's in the book for our 4th of July, or Independence, from all of you.
Yes. Oh no.
My dad's wife is British, so we tease her all the time that.
Yeah, we're all good friends now. We are. Yeah. So the book is out now, isn't it?
Yes. It came out at the end of May. And then I did like a book tour. So I had a group of 14 friends who made things from the book. And then we did this tour, and we did a lot of giveaways, and it was really fun.
Yeah, excellent. So, and what is it actually called? It's called Holiday Celebration.
Holiday Celebration. Right. Yeah. So there's all different types of projects, and I like the little Christmas house there. Yeah. So it's a lot of patchwork, mostly patchwork, a little bit of applique.
And I followed your link on your website. I think it was sold out, actually, or I don't know, or maybe I went somewhere.
It actually had the first run sold out before they arrived, the first printing. And so
you've got 197,000 people following you on Facebook. That's going to happen.
I wish they all bought one. That's like, they did not. Let me tell you, you all get busy. You didn't all buy one. So they did a second printing once that happened, and they could see it coming, then they put the second printing in, which will come probably later in July. Yeah. So the books will be in again soon.
Okay, perfect. So for anybody who's watching this today and they are thinking, I quite fancy having a go at this sewing quilting malarkey, where do you think they should start? What do you think is a good thing for them to do?
To start quilting, to what kind of a smaller project is always my choice for somebody. And the reason why is that you will be able to finish it. Not that people don't start with a bed-size quilt. Many people do start with a bed-size quilt, but a lot of people will start with a baby quilt. And then a lot of people are actually inspired to quilt because they want to make a quilt for a baby.
Yes.
And that's a fabulous size, something fairly easy. On my website, there is a series called the Ultimate Beginner Quilt Along that I did with a online shop, the Fat Quarter Shop. And so I have links to all of that. I have a beginner book. I mean, that has videos that they did, but if you use my beginner book in conjunction with that, there's, good size projects, not too big and not hard.
Yeah, we've got actually a lovely, because we've got a club, which is called the VIP Club, and it's a monthly membership. You can join just for the month or for the whole year. And in September, Jenny Pickett from Clover and Violet is making a baby quilt. Yes, and she's using medallions. So that's her project. So that's a nice project, I think.
Yeah, that's a fabulous way to go. And you get a lot of satisfaction, and then always remember to wash it, because it crinkles the quilt all up, and then you can't criticize your own work, which everybody does. But just wash it. That all looks much better.
Well, actually, what top, and this is putting you on the spot now, Pat, but do you think you could think of, let's say three top tips for any quilter? I mean, how long is a piece of string? 3 top tips.
Oh, these ones are hard ones, Rachel.
Top tip. Right on the spot now.
So the top tip would be take a class. If you've never taken a class.
With Crafty Monkeys.
Yes. Because I find that a lot of people have actually never taken a class.
Yeah.
And I don't think, of course, that's not a huge deal to not have taken one, but treat yourself and take a class. Try it, see how it is. I think another big one is to be part of some community of other like-minded people. And if you have something real specific, like let's say, I can give you an example because my one friend runs a Facebook group for the quilt called One Block Wonder. So it's real specific. And so you can get involved with something like that. If you don't want a real generic group like mine is, you can find something that's very specific. And then probably the third, which every quilters get an accurate 1/4 inch seam allowance. Just figure it out. And because once you understand your accurate, get that accurate seam allowance, you eliminate a lot of other problems in your patchwork. Because a lot of it just boils down to that your seam wasn't accurate.
Perfect. That sounds like 3 fantastic tips for me. I might just put that into our top tips section on YouTube. Is there anything left for you to do, Pat? Is there anything that you're sitting there thinking, I don't mean like you've got to do the dishes tonight. I mean, is there something that you, in the back of your mind, you think, before I leave this planet, I have to do that? It could be, let's do 2 things. It could be a travel thing, or it could be a quilting related thing.
Yeah, I would say one that probably rolls both of those together is that I want to go to Hawaii. And I want to see the Hawaiian quilts and look at the history and the richness of that type of quilt making. So that is one thing on my list. I am lucky enough to have relatives there who will retire there at some point. So that's probably when I'll make that happen.
Yeah, that would be amazing, wouldn't it?
Yeah, there's a lot there, and I've read a little bit on it, but I'm just really fascinated. And I've never been to the islands. I've never been to those islands, and I really want to go.
Where is your favorite place been so far that you've been, in terms of something that perhaps has inspired you?
That's inspired me, or just my favorite place?
Let's go with favorite place.
I was gonna say places don't generally inspire me, so that's a hard one. Probably is Ireland. When I took a quilt group to Ireland, a tour to Ireland quite a few years ago, it was fabulous. The group we had was really good. They had a good chemistry, and then we were able to make 2 guilds. We met a quilt guild in Killarney, so we had an evening with them, and then we met the quilt guild in Dublin.
Yes, nice.
Yeah, so As
Yeah.
a non-quilter, like prior to that, I lived in Europe for 8 years as a kid. And so I got to do a lot of travel there with my family. That was quite extraordinary. So it was, and I've also taught in South Africa, which was also really cool.
Oh, well, whereabouts in South Africa?
Johannesburg.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they had a big show and they brought in a couple of international teachers. It was the only year they did that show. The organizers went on to do other things then, but so it was a great experience.
Do you have any plans to come over to the UK? I mean, obviously everybody's plans are crazy right now, but is there something which if we're allowed to ever leave our houses one day, is there anything that you're going to be doing in the UK?
Nothing I have planned. Someday it would be nice. I was there as a teenager, but I haven't been since. And so maybe I will come back, go visit again.
We'll get you over. We'll organise an event and we'll get you over. We'll bring you over. So you said there about places don't inspire you. What does inspire you then? I mean, I know we've talked about flowers and nature. Is there anything else that really kind of makes you buzz?
Maybe I'm different. I don't know, but it's fabric. Designs on fabric are what gets my brain working. When I see interesting, beautiful, creative, quirky, fun, I mean, I like all kinds of fabric, a lot of different fabric. I love novelty prints immensely. And so fabric is really what drives what I do. I can't always start with fabric. I often start with the design for things, but really if I see a piece of fabric, I'm like, I love that.
Yeah. No, that's good. And you don't feel like you do stick to because a lot of our teachers would admit themselves that they are definitely into, like, for example, Janet Clare's color range is always the kind of blues and the browns that go together, and they're very muted colors. And then Nicholas is very much into his block colors, as Lucy Engels was. And then other people are into their patterns. Sarah Payne is very much into patterns. So, but do you just kind of go from anything really?
Yeah, I like a lot of things. Yeah, I don't really care to be narrow to a specific thing. That doesn't inspire me. So it inspires me to be able to work across ranges. When I first started my career, which if anybody was following my stuff from way back then is still here, thank you. But I started with primitive and folk art, and that is a very muted browns, a lot of browns, muddy reds, muddy greens, tans. I did a lot in those colors. And then I was like, but I didn't want, before I started my business, that just happened to be where I was at that time. And then I stopped doing that. So occasionally I still find people go like, oh, I remember when you did all those. And it's like, yeah, that was a while ago.
Yeah, a long time ago. And who inspires you? Is there anybody, it could be someone in the past or anybody, are there any current designers that you're looking at going, ooh, yeah, they're really, I like what they're doing?
I don't usually think like that. I mean, for a lot of years, I ran a podcast for American Patchwork and Quilting magazine. And so I got to the lovely, amazing, wonderful job of weekly talking to 3 to 4 different designers. So I had a huge absorption of people's work. I do have people that I love what they do, like Joanna Figueroa of Fig Tree. I love Joanna's work. A lot, like when I see her things, I'm always like, oh, I really like what she did. I really like her fabric. Beverly McCulloch of Flamingo Toes. I mean, I like her work. So there's people, then they're my friends. So I'm kind of in that realm, it's not like there might be people in other industries, that I would, like, but I can't even think.
Yeah. Okay, brilliant. Let's see if there are any questions for you.
Okay.
Let's have a look. So Nick Ball has said, hey Pat.
Oh,
saying hi. So there you go. Sarah Payne is saying hi as well. Samantha is watching. And yeah, oh well, Jane has she asked a question. that I've just asked, which was what inspires you. So we have covered that. And Steiner as well, if she's saying hello from Germany. And Debbie is in Toronto, Ontario, and she is pressing, binding as she watches.
Oh, well, there you go. She's a multitasking.
Multitasking.
Yes.
Sarah Payne has just said as well, I loved your podcast. You interviewed Sarah Payne at the Houston Quilt Fest in 2019.
Ah.
You've been around, Pat. She's waving. You've been around. So listen, Pat, I always ask, and in my email, we must just tell our lovely viewers, we had a slight panic, Pat and I, about 8 minutes ago, because I wrote to Pat yesterday and stupidly put an E on the end of her email. So of course she never got it. So I'm sitting here waiting today going, it's 10:02. I'm sure she'll be here at 1:45. And then I get a message saying, I'm still waiting for the link. And then we couldn't get the link to Pat because it was ignoring my emails. Your email system was ignoring me. But I have totally forgotten where I was going with that. What was I going to say? Oh, yes, in the email, or I don't know if Kerry told you this, Pat, that I always ask my lovely guests at the end of 3 people they would invite to a dinner party. Okay. So it can be people who are no longer here. It could be, I mean, Melissa Averinos was, she read my mind because we'd been talking about, we sort of went off piece because we were talking about anxiety and then we were talking about the inner child. So she said she would have her small version of her there. So, but other people have said I would have, you know, I don't know, famous tennis players. I mean, it can be whoever you would want, Pat. So if you could have 3 people at a party, who would they be?
Oh, well, I do have to say that I would like to have dinner with my mother-in-law again. You know, she's been gone for a few years and she was a great inspiration. When you asked about inspiration, she was a businesswoman and we talked work a lot. We were good friends. So I'm one of those lucky people that really like my mother-in-law. So, you know, I would love to see her again. You know, there's lots and lots of family, you know, that I could add in there. But if it wasn't family, I'm not good at these things, Rachel. This isn't really how I think.
Come on, Pat, we found something that you're not good at.
I'm not good at a lot of things. Not good at a lot of things. Yeah, I mean, I think in interesting way, I mean, I would love to have some sort of a huge dinner party with all of my community, you know, that they could just have all of these people come and meet each other in person and then I could meet them. I mean, I think that would be really fun. So that's like a lot more than 3.
That's a lot more. That's fine. You can have a big soiree. Well, you could have a little sew-along soiree.
That's
like
right.
What you are doing.
Yes, summer soiree.
Starts
next Wednesday.
Yes, starts next Wednesday. So the best place for anybody who is watching is to go to your website, which is just patsloan.com, patsloan.com. And on there's all the links, because I've had a really good rummage in there. There's all the links to everything you could possibly want to know about. So that's the place to find you. And definitely have a look on your YouTube channel, which is here, and subscribe there because there is so much content.
Come join us.
Yeah, join us. And come and join us here at the Crafty Monkeys because, as I say, YouTube, very young for us, but we are going to be uploading loads of content. And all I can hope is that I get to 137 people subscribing. Never mind our 197,000. No, I think we've got 235 now. We are rocking. We're rocking. Well, to say we've only been up for a week or so, that's not bad.
That's right. No,
but the audience is growing with Monkeys on Instagram now. Thousands are joining us and it is lovely. So we are building our community and I hope that we get to meet some of your community and we all meet each other.
Yes.
It's a lovely friendly place. Now, so I'm now going to try and end this meeting on YouTube. So what I'm going to do, I don't know if this is going to work. I'm going to press the end button. So for YouTube viewers, I'm going to say thank you so much. And thank you to Pat. You can hang out and Zoom with me for a second, Pat. But I'll say thank you so much to Pat. And thank you to our YouTube viewers and anybody else who's joined us. And of course, anybody who is watching this on the replay. But thanks to all of our lovely live viewers as well. But I will now press, does that say edit or end? End stream. Okay. Goodbye, people. Okay. And